after a brief break from the story, it's time for us to get Magdalene back on track. Hello, my lovely friends. It's Margaret. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to be talking about the books I will be reading for the month of July. Now, I haven't been doing so great when it comes to readathons and reading challenges and literally, like, reading it all. This month, besides the book for the Curious Minds book club, I'm not doing any crazy reading things. We're gonna take a break this month. We're gonna actually mean to take a break. That is provided that I am remembering the Avengers Initiative reading challenge plans correctly. I could be very wrong about that. I might not be on a break. So today we are going to sit down, see how I did with my reading last month, and then figure out what I'm supposed to be reading next month. Time for us to catch up with our favorite intrepid adventurer, Magdalene Embercloak. Now we pick up with Magdalene after a little bit of a questing break. She just took the month of May. We'll say she took it off. I do not remember what the quests from the month of May are, so we're just going to pretend like they didn't happen and go off of June's quests. Now, before every quest, Magdalene does like to sit down with her equipment and just make sure everything is in good repair, check the levels of her rations, all of that stuff, see if there are any extra things that she needs to pick up. As she is going through her pack, checking things off of her checklist, making sure that everything is up to date, she notices that a few of her rations are just a little bit off. Might be slightly past the expiration date. And the last thing you want on a quest is a case of the runs. So she decides that it probably would be a good idea to make a stop by Bertram's General Store. Bertram's General Store is one of the many businesses you will find in the town of Farwater that services adventurers, making sure that they have everything they need for whatever they will be doing. It is run by Lila Bertram, who has inherited it from her father. So Magdalene walks in. She notices that prices are a little bit on the excessive side now-abouts. Turns out there was a little bit of a supply shortage. A few things are costing a little bit more right now because they're harder to find. Magdalene, of course, does what is only natural for any adventurer who's a little short on coin. She goes to the counter with her goods and tries to haggle a little bit with Lila. And here we come to our first consequence roll because, gentle reader, I didn't stick to the TBR this month. So as a reminder for anyone who might have forgotten, is not quite sure, or is new to the channel, the way consequences work is I have to roll a d20, and if I get 6 or higher, I pass. And if I get 5 or lower, I have to take whatever the consequence is for not completing this quest. In this case, the consequence is that I cannot start any new quests until I finish this book. Also, because I use my alignment to combine 2 prompts for 1 book, I have to do at least 1 with disadvantage. So let's go ahead and see how this goes. Oh, that's a 14. Okay. And the second one is an 11. When Lila gets to the winter gear, however, Lila is a little less amenable to haggling on the price for that. Now, this winter gear is rather important because the job that Magdalene has been hired to go on does happen up in the mountains, and they are a bit snowy right now. In an attempt to get the price down, she offers to maybe do some fixing up around Bertram's General Store. She notices there are a few things that need repaired, and she does happen to have the spells in her spell book that would actually do the job. And so we come to our second consequence. Now, the consequence for habitually forgetting to buy myself winter gear is that I will have to add an extra quest to my quest load, which means I will have to do 9 instead of 8. This sounded like such a good idea when I was coming up with these things, and now that I'm actually doing them, I'm thinking maybe I should have been nicer to myself and everyone else in turn. That is a 10, which means that Lila does look around. She looks at the door. She remembers how squeaky those hinges are. She looks at the window where there are a couple of panes cracked from last year's winter storm. And she thinks of the squeaky floorboard that's behind the counter that just drives her nuts as she is going back and forth. She tallies all of that up in her head and thinks, that sounds like a reasonable bargain. So Magdalene has her stuff. she meets her party. They travel up into the mountains. Magdalene and her party have been hired to get to the bottom of some bandits that have been preying on the caravans that go through the mountains, taking supplies from Farwater and into the greater parts of Fablen. She and her party disguise themselves as traveling merchants in an effort to lure the bandits out and to take care of them. They kit up a few wagons to look like they are full to the brim with household goods and bits and baubles and a few shiny things that might interest the people on the other side of the mountain, and they set off. Now it turns out that Magdalene has set off with quite a loquacious bunch, and on their first night they sit down and start telling stories round the campfire about all of their various adventures. It is a rather enjoyable night for Magdalene, sitting, listening to these more experienced adventurers tell the stories of their various quests. Listening to these more experienced adventurers tell the stories of the quests that they have been on, the deeds that they have done, she starts to think that perhaps she was silly, being a little nervous trying to track down these bandits. They go up the mountain pass with no incident. As they descend the mountain pass, the group starts to perhaps get a little cocky. Starts to loosen up. Don't post as many guards as maybe they should have. And one night, as they're sitting around the campfire, telling their stories, singing their songs, all of that good stuff, an arrow whizzes into the camp, followed by another one, and they find themselves in the middle of a goblin attack. And that brings us to the third consequence of today's video. No one is more disappointed in me than I am right now. Don't worry, it's going to get worse. So for the goblin attack, I was supposed to read 3 books in 1 week. Did I? No, we're gonna say no. I finished 3 books in 1 week, but I feel like since most of them were already at the end, this really doesn't count. It just doesn't. Once again, with this consequence roll, I am facing adding another quest to my list of quests. So, and that's a 13. You have been very kind to me today, and I thank you. I thank you very much. Magdalene and her compatriots jump to their feet, their weapons within reach and in their hands, and as they are readying themselves to face this unseen foe, several goblins rush out of the forest surrounding them, and they realize they are outnumbered. There's a dozen or more goblins, besides the ones that are sitting in the trees firing arrows down, to the 5 of them, and they make the decision in that moment to retreat. With only the few things that they are able to grab near them and the clothes on their back, they flee back the direction that they came, leaving their caravan and their supplies behind, and make their way all the way back to Farwater, just with what they were able to carry with them. They are able to lean on the kindness of strangers once they get down the mountain in the surrounding farmland of Farwater. But they do end up back at Farwater, a little worse for the wear, but with a better idea of what they are facing. Considering the number of goblins that they were facing, it's decided that maybe a little more robust force is needed. The questing crew is compensated reasonably, not the reward they were expecting, but again, they didn't quite get the job done, so they go ahead and go their separate ways. Magdalene decides to stay in Farwater for a little bit, see what work she can drum up among the people that she knows there. Turns out there's not a lot going around right now. Most of the quests and things to be done are in the greater world of Fablen, and so we come to our 4th consequence, because I still haven't read this book. Alright, so if I fail this one, I have to read 2 books of my specific genre, science fiction, this month. Let's see how it goes. Oh, that's a 5. Okay. 2 sci-fi books in July. I can work with that. There are worse things that could happen. It's fine. She does manage to pick up a little bitty job, though, from the wizard that she helped find his ring a few months back, and he just sends her out, has a few things he needs her to get from the library, and she winds up going to the library, and we come to our fifth consequence. So for this one, if I do not complete this one, once again, I have to add well, I'm already doing this, but we'll see. I would have to read another book from my chosen genre. So, 1. That's a 1. That's a 1. 3 sci-fi. This is not doing well for me. It turns out that the books that the wizard needed from the Great Library are all out on loan. Now, the wizard did promise before Magdalene went on her errand that he would ask around and see if anyone needed another member for their party or was looking for a quester for hire. And so we come to our 6th and final consequence, I believe. If I fail this one, I will have to add another quest. Again, we're looking at 9 possibly instead of 8, so... Oh, that's an 18, thank God. As it turns out, there is a questing party that's looking for another member to join their crew. They had a scholar that was kind of their liaison between different peoples in Fablen, knew several languages, all of those kinds of things, but she did decide that it was time for her to retire so that she could spend some time with the grandkids, you know, kick back, be able to use some of that questing money that she's earned to travel, to actually go where she wants to go rather than where she's being paid to go. And so they decide that since Magdalene has the necessary skill set, why not hire her on for this journey? And that leads us right into what I will be reading this month. All right, we're here. We're here at the fun part of the video. Just a reminder, I do need to read 3 science fiction books. Now, I did update. There are a few more quests on the main quest list. I am still working on developing the more quest list so that everybody has all that and figuring out how do we level up, what's the next thing, etc., etc., etc. So, we're just going to go into this. New quests, some old quests, mostly stuff that I did not complete. Whoops. And our first quest for the month of July, if I can actually grab it. Oh, it's going to be... Welcome to Fablen. Read a portal fantasy. All right, we're gonna keep this simple. And since I did not read it last month, we are once again 3rd month in a row. We're gonna try reading Pride and Prejudice. So this is one of the books that is on my these books will self-destruct in like 8 months, 6 months, something like that. So I do need to read it to find out what's going on and what it's about and all of that good stuff. So prioritizing this guy. If you're noticing the drastic shift in lighting, it went from bright blue outside to possibly thunderstorming here in a minute in like 2 minutes. Like you probably watched that happen from one clip to another. It's Florida. It happens. Next quest. Ooh, this is one of the new ones. We already did this one. Did I put these? I might have put these back in. So campfire I completed, but running low on rations I did not. Okay, so I need to read a book that I already own. Give me just a minute. I need to console. So since I have to read 3 science fiction, I am going to grab Wool by Hugh Howey. This is another one on my books that will self-destruct in 6 months. I don't know much about this except that it's like a dystopian and the air you would breathe could kill you. 3rd quest. Quest number 3 is going to be The Alchemist's Laboratory. Read a book with an inventor. Well, let's take a look at NetGalley. The one that I'm going to be picking for that is an e-arc that I received on NetGalley, and it's called A Half-Built Garden by Ruthana Emrys. This sounds like it's kind of like, well, it's set in 2083, so it's a futuristic world. Humanity is dealing with the effects of climate change and all of that stuff, and then aliens show up and are like, they give them an ultimatum. They're like, fix your environment or else. And so we follow a couple of the characters dealing with that. It sounds, from what it sounds like describing some of the characters, it sounds like they might, you know, be kind of inventive. It sounds like they might have to be able to make things work when equipment goes wrong, just based on the first paragraph that I'm reading here. So we're gonna go for that one. Quest number 4. Well, I guess that one works. It is buying winter gear. Again, read a book that takes place in winter. Oh, what do I have that takes place in winter? We are going to get to one that's been on my physical TBR since about when it came out, and I've just been putting off because I've heard mixed opinions on it. But that is A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. This is a novella that goes between the first 3 books and the next 3 books, and it's on my shelf. I might as well read it. I'm not entirely sure that I care enough to like actually continue on with the series, but here we are. We'll put it on the TBR and see if we get to it. It has been so long since I read those books. Like, I'm not even sure I remember all of the stuff I need to remember. 4 down, 4 to go. Ta-da. Okay, this one, oh, it's one of the newer ones, I think. Raiding the armory, roll a d6 and read the book that meets that weapon requirement. All right. 6. What was 6? I truly have memorized everything about this game that I built. I know it like the back of my hand. Okay, 6 is the axe, which is to read an arc. Perfect. I'm holding my phone. I am gonna go with Pretty Dead Queens by Alexa Dunn. Do I remember what this is about? No, not really. I just want to read it. And I'm part of the street team, so I do need to. It comes out in October. So apparently someone is going around murdering homecoming queens, and she's not the first homecoming queen to be killed. And so I guess the main character, Cecilia, gets involved in the investigation for that. Next one. Ooh, we're getting a lot of like some of the new ones. Okay. Night at the Tavern. Read a book that was the group book for a book club or readathon. Okay. So I think what we're going to do is I am going to pull out The Rape of Nanking by Iris Chang once again, because I do need to read this along with The Poppy War in order to be caught up with the Curious Minds book club, and this is our book for June and July. There was another quest I was hoping to get, but for that one, but hey, it's easy. Number 6. Nope, this is number 7. I can count. This is Seeking Answers at the Great Library. Read a nonfiction book. All right, we're going to switch some things up. Hold on. I'm actually going to move The Rape of Nanking to this prompt, the Great Library prompt, and I am going to instead do the Poppy War for the last prompt. I guess since I didn't, I will tell you what the Poppy War is about. This is, from what I understand, this is a fantasy world that is set, it's about a girl who ends up being recruited, or it's about someone, I'm actually not sure if it is a girl. It is about someone who is recruited to be part of a military force. I believe there is magic involved. I do know that a lot of what is, like, there are specific events in here that are based on events that are talked about in Iris Chang's book. Like, Iris Chang's book, I believe the reason I know about that book is because the author talked about using it to do research for this particular book. So I will be reading this. Okay, final book. And I'm realizing that this has to be a science fiction book. So it needs to be something that fits Tiamat's wrath somehow. I might have to switch some things around. Okay. Goblin Attack. Roll a d4 and read that many books in 1 week. If you don't have a d4, roll a d6 until... Okay, shut up. I do have a d4. Be a 1. It's a 1! Oh! Wow! What? Oh my god! So, my 6th quest, or 8th quest, is just to read 3 books. Or no, read 1 book in a week. God bless. Now, because I do need to fit in Tiamat's Wrath, I'm actually going to make some changes here. I'm just going to say that the book I read for Goblin Attack is going to be, hold on, there we go, book 8 of The Expanse, okay? That's just how it's going to work. And then I'm actually going to, because Pretty Dead Queens comes out in October, I still have a few months to read it. I am actually going to swap it out for an arc that is coming out, or just came out, I believe, the last Tuesday in June, which is Daughter of Red Winter. You cannot actually see it because whatever, but this was kindly sent to me by Jocelyn over at Tor, so I said I'd read it. There was some mix-up with stuff in the mail, but I now have it. It is here. We're going to put this on the list. So here you go. Here is July's Fablen TBR +1. That it's not pictured here because it is an arc. But here is what I need to read for July. I'm really excited about the fact that happened. Oh, that makes my life so much easier. So let me know if you're feeling chatty in the comments. Let me know how you've been doing in Fablen. Just let me know what's up with you. What's up with your character? What was the most recent quest that you completed? If you are not feeling chatty, but you still want to let me know that you watched to the end of the video, go ahead and leave me a 1 emoji, because that just was such a good, like, look, it's right there. That's a 1. Can you see that? Can you see that 1? Come back here. That's a 1. That's a 1. And you keep sliding. That is a 1. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm a normal person, I promise. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you enjoyed this video, there will be other videos over here. I think I've had a new recommendations video in my Fablen thing. I'll have that up here, and I'll have whatever is newest on my channel down here. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye! Time for us to catch up with our favorite intrepid adventurer, Magdalene Embercloak. I don't know my character's name.